Good morning. Hi. You guys came for class? I'm giving a teaching today on Mitahara. I don't think it's really something that you've thought much about. But when we come to contentment, you guys can both demonstrate. Yeah. Also Saucha, you can demonstrate that one too. Yeah. Yeah, get comfy. Good morning. Yeah, so the teachings this week are on the yama called Mitahara. Mitahara. So let's sit for a bit of quiet together and we'll dive into the teachings. And thank you for being here, time change and all. So for those of you whose schedule feels disrupted by the clock changing, a reminder that nature is doing what she was doing. She doesn't know that the clock changed for us. Of course, we have to reorient ourselves, and we'll use this practice to help with that reset that comes from the clock change. You can rest your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Listening inside where you can sense that you've already made a dedication to be here for your practice. And we want this dedication to go deeper. So you're already here. Let your body arrive. Relax the skin of your body. And let the breath drop down into the pelvic basin or the pelvic bowl. That's okay, Nakula. Yeah, you knocked it over. You did. Yeah. You didn't know your own strength there. It's okay. Go ahead and sniff those things. You'll find out that they're not dangerous. Okay. So as you arrive for your practice and you have the sense of deepening, become aware that we are an hour different from having had the clock change. And see if you can sense the sounds or the light or the temperature. Can you sense the difference in nature for us to be here an hour earlier than we would have been? Right? What is the difference in the feeling tone? What does it sound like? You line up with the natural world and you sense that, sensing it through your eyelids, even if they're closed, sensing it through your ears, sensing it through the skin of your body. And lining up this way, I'm going to ask you to imagine also that you are, in fact, comprised of nature. You are earth and water, fire and air and ether. We aim to bring ourselves into alignment or back into balance. You can join your palms together at your heart. And we'll chant the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitor Varenyam Argo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona prachodayata. Om Bhuvasuvah Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayata. Om Bhuvasuvah Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayata. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. Here, so you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Open your eyes. You can't open that drawer. You're not strong enough to open that drawer. I'm sorry. You also don't have thumbs. It's kind of hard to pull on the handle. Yeah. Sorry, honey. Okay, so the teaching this week that I want to explore with you is called Mitahara. And a place that we might start that exploration, I spoke about it yesterday, is sensing our relationship, as always, to this ecology on which we're totally dependent. We are comprised, as yoga tells us, and Ayurveda says the same, we're comprised of earth and water, fire, air, and ether, these elements that are also these elements. And Mitahara means, in its classical translation, it means 32 handfuls of food, like this, twice a day. So that's 2 meals a day, because it's for yogis who are practicing yoga and meditation. So the amount of resource that is needed was somehow determined to be 32 handfuls of food twice a day. And this kind of picking up the food like that. So if we consider that in our lives, our contemporary lives, where most of us are also urban yogis, or we have jobs and families, where what I like to call householder yogis, we can ask, well, how much resource do I actually need? And if I overdo that in terms of food or anything else, how does that affect my yoga practice? How does it affect my meditation? And this is a question not only for how does it affect you physically, but what is the effect for you mentally? And by that, I don't just mean what does the mind feel like in meditation, but if we're overindulging in A, B, C, or D in these ways, what is our internal ethic or mood or inner statement about that, about ourselves related to that? And how does that then come into the yoga and meditation practice? So if I know I'm overindulging in food or alcohol or stimulation or scrolling on Facebook or overindulging in TV or stimulants or caffeine, whatever it might be, and I know that about myself to be a little out of alignment with my dedication as a yogi, why am I doing it? What purpose is it serving? And what is the influence of that on me when I come to my yoga mat? How do I feel? Do I feel more connected to myself or more disconnected? More inclined to the deep sea diving of the psyche, or am I kind of cleaning up the messes I'm making for myself each time I overindulge? And these are questions that you can ask of yourself. We're not going to have like a public journaling activity about it, but ask the question for yourself. And while we're here on the yoga mat, we can also ask, well, how much resource am I putting into each of the poses or the practice? Like if I'm sucking in all this breath to try to maintain my stamina or my strength or hardening like that, that's probably not a livable way to practice your yoga. So let's see the breath and the practice and the effort as if you were fine-tuning the gas on the stove to cook the meal. So that being said, I'd like you to put aside your blocks and your blankets and come up to standing, please, with a yoga strap. Got stuck. So let's make the strap so that when you have the loop, your hands are going to be shoulder width apart, like this. Okay. Great, and then come to stand in mountain pose. So your feet are going to be hip distance apart. And as you place your wrists in here, turn your palms to face each other. You might want to catch the strap so it's not going to hit you in the face. And then raise your arms up overhead. And close the eyes and come into this really simple posture, Urdhva Hastasana, and listen for the felt sense of the breath. Put your tailbone down and come into the subtle form of Ujjayi breathing and ask yourself how much, excuse me, how much effort, how much volume, how much force is a word we might use, do you need with the breath right now to actually make this a yoga pose, a practice? We know that your body is responding to the position in myriad ways, not just the skin, the muscles, and the joints, but also lymph and circulation, innervation, the breath. And even when the arms are up and the chest is open, it affects our mood, maybe something a little bit more optimistic. And then exhale, bend your knees and sit down to chair pose. Bring your gaze forward and down so it makes sense with the angle of your torso and your arms. And notice where you need to kind of allocate effort or energy in this position. Now, keeping the knees bent on the exhale, bring your torso down over your thighs and let the chest and head relax. You can keep the knees bent, as I was saying. So you'll feel your torso resting against your thighs. And sense where you allocate effort, attention, breath, the resources of your practice. Where do you allocate those right now? And then bringing the torso back into chair pose. Inhale, raise up to chair. And then inhale, rise up to standing. Now, I'm going to ask you to bend the elbows and take the strap down behind your head. You can hold it with your hands, so it goes like this. Place the strap at the base of the skull. Squeeze the elbows back. Open your chest and your heart. And in that opening, lift your chin slightly. And then a little bit of a standing back bend is coming. And now with an inhale, raise your arms back up. Keep the tension on the strap. And then exhale, float your arms forward and down. Let them both relax. And then take the strap apart, but not the loop apart. And hold so that you've got your thumbs on the strap like this. That's because I'm going to ask you to press with your thumbs into the strap. So don't wrap the thumbs around, but rather place them on the strap. And then inhale, raise up. Now slide your hands apart. And as you're coming down behind you, give yourself as much strap as you need for your arms to comfortably come down to about shoulder height, like this. Okay, and then breathing in and breathing out. And ask again in this position, how much effort, attention, how much resource, and where are you going to allocate that? You're not overly closing or opening your throat, so the sound of the breath will be harmonious in the inner ear, the Ujjayi breath. As you exhale, slide your thumbs down the strap until your arms are loosened, and then come down to Uttanasana. Release the weight of your head. Let's energize the legs and ask again, how much resource are you going to put into energizing the legs? How much effort is needed for your attention or your concentration? If you feel that on some days your attention is easier to access and on other days it's harder, it is a worthwhile question to ask, what might be the impediment? What's getting in the way? And it might have something to do with how you slept or how you ate or what your activities were yesterday. You reach back for your yoga strap now to place your wrists in the strap behind the small of your back. And then we'll take the arms into, this is called Yogi Mudra. So take the arms overhead, squeeze your shoulder blades up away from your head. Make the neck a little bit longer and more free. Let's go ahead and bend the knees deeply so that again, your chest is resting on your thighs. Raise the arms up towards the ceiling. Relax the weight of your head and your neck. And then exhale, press down into your legs, rise up to standing. And inhale, squeeze the arms back towards the wall behind you. So this squeeze like this, taking the arms back. And in that process, raise up through your heart, your collarbones. You might also lift your chin. And let's exhale and release the arms. Again, it's okay. No more salmon treats, though. I gave them out already. We already did that part. Yeah. Okay, let's put the strap aside and please take a wide stance. With your wide stance, make the feet parallel and come down to Prasara to Paratanasana. You might put your hands on blocks if you need to, or you can put them on the floor. And we're going to go foot, hand, hand, foot. You energize your legs and press down into your heels and your toes. As you inhale, glide forward, raise up to your fingertips, open your heart and your throat like cow pose. As you exhale, bow down like cat pose. Press your hands firmly into the floor and use that firmness to support a complete exhale. Let's do this 4 times more. And as you're moving, again, ask, how are you coordinating the resources of attention and breath, vitality, how much energy or effort, tailored to your experience of your body this morning. So that even how you're making effort is not something kind of static from day to day. You're going to tailor it to what's needed right now. The next time that you inhale and you raise up on your fingertips and glide forward, then walk your hands forward either on the floor or on your blocks. Reach your hips back. And let's ask once more, the quality of effort and the amount of resource you're placing in the effort. We're asking inside, like, how are you coordinating the efforts in your body, including the efforts of the mind related to your practice? Exhale one more time, complete exhale. Walk your hands back to your hips and rise up to standing. And then we'll go heel toe in to center. And come to mountain pose and just check and see then, how are things feeling from a few simple practices. Now we're going to use the wall to open the chest and the heart, and we'll bring in some of the practices we've been doing with the eyes and our gaze. So I'm going to ask you to face the wall, whichever wall, or just even if all you have is a door frame or a bookshelf, or I don't know, the edge of some piece of furniture in your home. Face that and take the right arm out to the side with your right palm at shoulder height and the thumb is pointing up. So in my case, I'll use this spot here. And then you're going to turn your feet, knees, chest, and heart to the left. And as you're turning like that, again, keep the right thumb pointing up. Roll your right shoulder down, lift your heart, and then rotate your head as far as it can comfortably go to your left. And we're going to sustain the physical pose, but move the eyes. So with your exhale, rotate your eyes further than your nose goes, keeping the eyes closed. When you inhale, let the eyes come back to center. Notice any influence that twisting the eyes to your left has on the other aspects of your twist. Once more, exhale, turning the eyes. And then inhale, rotate your head back to center. Relax your eyes and turn to face the wall to change sides. Place your left hand up, palm or thumb pointing up, rather. And as you rotate your feet, your knees, your chest, your heart, then also turn your head to your right as far as it comfortably goes for you. And exhale, turn your eyes to the right, beyond what your nose can do. And inhale, relax your eyes to center. Exhale, rotate your eyes to the right and your left shoulder to the left. Relax the eyes on your inhale. And once more, exhale your eyes to the right. And then inhale to unwind. And rotate towards the wall to let the left arm down, and then come into mountain pose and just try to sense, okay, now what is the quality of your mind or your attention? And then I'm going to ask us to return to a couple practices we were doing in the last month. I'd like you to come to plank pose with 2 blocks. Well, let's come to table pose. We're on our way to plank pose, but come to table pose first. And we're going to be exploring this kind of cross crawl, cross hemisphere rotation thing. So place your hands on your blocks. And interesting to ask the question now, how much effort, how much resource, how are you allocating the resources? What are you going to be doing with your eyes, your mind, your breath, your effort? So come to table pose like this. Check that you can step back to plank pose. You have the space behind you. And then as you inhale, press into cat pose, please. Exhale, roll through to cow pose. And with your eyes closed, raise your gaze up behind your eyebrows. And then inhale to cat pose. With the eyes closed, gaze down behind your cheekbones. And exhale to cow pose. And once more, inhale to cat pose. Now exhale, bring your right knee up towards your right elbow. And inhale, lengthen the right leg straight back behind you. Exhale, return to table pose. Inhale to cat. Exhale, bring your left knee up. Inhale, lengthen your left leg straight back. Keeping the eyes closed, imagine you're gazing straight down. And then return to table pose. Okay, let's take this to plank pose. Inhale, plank. Okay, exhale, right knee to your nose and nose to your knee. Inhale, step back to plank. Exhale, left knee to nose, nose to your knee. Inhale, step to plank. Exhale, right knee to nose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, left knee to your nose and your nose to your knee. Inhale to plank. Exhale, touch the knees down. Point your toes, reach back towards child's pose. Let's balance the head between the upper arms. Lift the base of your skull. Exhale, gaze behind the cheekbones. Inhale, undulate forward. Cat pose becomes cow pose. Gaze up behind the eyebrows. Curl the toes under and reach into downward facing dog pose. Now in downward dog, I'd like you to gaze back between your heels. You can open the eyes. And as you breathe in, keep your gaze steady there. Exhale, gaze under your right armpit and up the wall to your right. Inhale, bring your head to center, your gaze back behind your heels. Exhale, gaze under your left armpit and up the wall. Inhale, gaze back behind the heels, center your head. Okay, exhale, plank pose, right knee to your nose, nose to your knee. Inhale, downward dog pose, gaze back behind your heels. Exhale, plank pose, left knee to your nose, nose to your knee. Inhale, downward dog pose, gaze back behind the heels. Now exhale, right knee to your right elbow, gaze to your right plank pose. Inhale, downward dog. Exhale, left knee forward to the left elbow, gaze to your left. Inhale, downward dog. Exhale, right knee forward plank, gaze to your right. Inhale, downward dog. And exhale, left knee forward, gaze to your left. Inhale, downward dog. And exhale, table pose becomes child's pose. Walk your hands out over the blocks, lift the base of your skull. And then inhale, undulate forward, cat becomes cow. Raise your eyes up behind your eyebrows. And then downward dog pose, please. Okay, we're going to inhale and step forward to a pose we were doing a few weeks ago. We were doing it in pieces. Let's see if we can do it with an inhale. So you're going to come forward and step the right foot under. And then exhale to open. And inhale, return to downward dog pose. Exhale. Inhale, forward left foot under. And exhale to open. Inhale, return to downward dog pose. And exhale in dog pose. Again, inhale, right foot under and forward. Exhale, this time gaze up at your left thumb. Pivot your left heel to the floor. And then inhale, follow your left thumb as you reach your arm past your ear. Make a big circle, bring it down to the left hand block. And inhale, plank pose. Okay, exhale, downward facing dog. Now the second side. So inhale, glide forward, left foot under and to the side. Exhale to open, gaze up at your right thumb. Inhale, pivot the right heel down. And then inhale, follow your right thumb. And bring your hand back to the right hand block. Inhale, plank. And exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhale, forward to plank. Touch the knees down and back to child's pose. Lift the base of your skull in child's pose. And then walk your hands back towards your knees. Rise up to Vajrasana. And you can ask yourself, how are you calibrating effort or recalibrating? How are you using the resources in your body? In terms of the resources, including your strength, your flexibility, not exploiting one over the other. Step into Surya Namaskar. So please come to the front of your yoga mat. Hello. Would you like to do a sun salutation? Maybe. You don't mind if I do it right here? Okay. Come up to standing, please. Bring your hands together at your heart. Open your eyes to gaze at your fingertips. Exhale, press the arms forward, gaze at your thumbs. Inhale, raise your gaze up, follow your thumbs. Exhale, arms wide, come down to Uttanasana and close the eyes. Inhale, glide forward, open your gaze and look forward. Something on the floor there that's going to be your constant. And exhale, gaze along the seam of the floor towards the back edge of your yoga mat. Again, inhale, glide along whatever seam on the floor, whatever you're tracing, and come to the forward dristhi. And then once more, exhale, glide the eyes on the floor smoothly, gaze towards the back edge of your mat. This time as we inhale to come forward, we're going to be stepping backwards with the exhale. Let's take the left foot straight back. Inhale to rise and trace the wall, the ceiling, and then find your thumbs. Keeping the legs stable, root the tailbone down, lift the inner belly up, and place your arms where you can see your thumbs, so not too far forward, not too far back. Now, following your right thumb, come into Warrior Two. As you gaze at the right thumb during the transition, you might notice that it requires a certain amount of mental focus. Now, establishing your legs, turn your right hand palm face up, and inhale, follow your right thumb up, walk the left hand down. And exhale, follow your right thumb, windmill the left arm overhead and down, return both hands to the two blocks. Gaze down on the floor between your hands and your foot. Let's inhale to plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Gaze back between the heels. Exhale, left foot forward, gaze between your hands. Inhale to rise, you're going to trace a line on the floor, and then the wall, and then the ceiling, and then your thumbs. Establish the legs so the tailbone goes down. Tone your right butt. Lift the pubic bone. Have your gaze steady. Start following your left thumb as you open to Warrior Two. Your left palm to the ceiling. Please follow your left thumb up into Rising Warrior pose. It's important to place your arm and your thumb where your eyes can actually see. So in some cases, you have to modify to support the flexibility of your neck. As you exhale, follow your left thumb, windmill the right arm over, and touch the two blocks. Let's inhale to plank pose. Exhale, trace the line on the floor as you go back to downward dog pose. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale to seal pose. Probably you're gazing a little forward on the floor. Let's inhale, lift the chest and the heart up. In seal pose, look up at the ceiling. And then exhale to plank pose. Bring your gaze down between your hands. Inhale, trace the line back between the heels in downward dog pose. Exhale, right foot forward, left foot forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward, gaze forward. And exhale for a concentrated and deep bow towards the legs, gaze at the back of your mat. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Meet your thumbs overhead. Exhale the arms forward, there's your thumbs. And then inhale, return to your fingertips. Close the eyes. How much resource are you allocating and how are you doing it? You open the eyes to see your fingertips. Exhale, press the arms forward like an arrow. Gaze at your thumbs. Inhale, raise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Trace the line on the floor all the way to the back of your yoga mat. Inhale, glide forward, using your eyes consistently. Exhale, left toes straight back. Gaze between your hands and your foot. Inhale, rise. You have to glide your gaze forward and up, ceiling and then thumbs. Now again, following your right thumb, come to warrior two. And gaze back at your left hand and your left thumb. Turn your right palm to the ceiling and follow your left thumb down as you come into rising warrior pose. This means that you have your head rotated and there's a little side bend and a bit of neck flexion also because we're looking down. And then inhale, rotate your head, gaze up at your right thumb. And exhale, follow your right thumb, come all the way over, windmill the left arm over, and inhale to plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog, gaze back behind your heels. Okay, now left foot forward, please. Gaze between your hands and your foot, and then inhale, trace the gaze along the wall and the ceiling up to your thumbs overhead. As you look at your left thumb, begin to open warrior two. Set the foundation of the pose, including your pelvis, and rotate your gaze over to your right thumb. Raise your left arm, and as you come to the rising warrior, gaze down towards your right thumb. So you have your head in a rotation, flexion, downward gaze position. Notice what's happening for your neck and for your breath. And then rotate your head slowly to look up at your left thumb. And follow your thumb, windmill the right arm. And let's inhale to plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank, tracing the line on the floor. Exhale, seal pose, gazing forward somewhere on the floor, maybe where you gaze during Uttanasana. And then inhale, raise up to seal pose. Lift your gaze to the ceiling. And now exhale backwards to child's pose. And lift the base of your skull. And then walk your hands back towards your knees and rise up to kneeling, come to Vajrasana. And you can ask yourself again, okay, how has it been to sort of allocate the resources, particularly if you're sincerely practicing following your thumb to warrior two and so on? What happens with your mental resource? Let's take a seat on the two blocks, make them like a little bench, like this. I would put them on the flat setting, please. And place your hips there. Like this. So what you have behind you is a space, I hope, enough space for our little acrobatics here. So if you take the arms in front, palms, fingers facing up like this, that's the position we're going to be putting the hands in behind. In this position, your shoulder has the most stability. If you turn the hands out, you start getting some external rotation. That's more flexibility, a little bit less stability. When you turn the palms face up, it's the most flexibility of rotation externally. But if this were our position with the hands behind us, it would be the least amount of stability for the shoulder joint. So we have options there. It's not that one is better than the other, it's that we have these three options. Let's start with the fingers when they're pointing up like this. Take your right hand under and back. So the fingers point towards your right hip. Press the heel of the hand down. Roll your right shoulder open. You might also be feeling your right wrist. You cross the left hand over your right knee. And press the right knee forward so that it's actually causing you to straighten your left arm. Raise your head and lift up and back. So you're stretching your neck and your throat also. And then exhale, bring your chin in towards your throat. Raise up to your seat. Turn your right hand a quarter turn so it's going to go sideways. Roll the shoulder back. Open your throat. Lift the right knee forward so it's lengthening your left arm. And then bring your chin in towards your throat. Raise up on your seat. Turn your right hand another quarter turn back so it's going to point the fingers back behind you. Roll your shoulder open. And now press into your right arm. Put your body weight into your right shoulder. Raise your hips up. Raise your left arm straight up. And there is your thumb to look at and take it overhead. I'm going to go under my shelf. Follow your left thumb up to the ceiling. And follow your left thumb as you lower your hips down to the blocks. And then bring the right hand up to meet the left. And release. And notice you can rest the arms over the knees and just notice the right side of your face, head, neck, and shoulders. Now left side, so start with your left palm, so as if the fingers were pointing up at the ceiling. Place it behind you so the fingers point towards your hips. Take the right hand to the outside of your left thigh. What I just did there is I'm putting my fingers between my thigh and my calf muscle. And then you press the left knee forward to give a little bit of rotation as the right arm pulls forward, the shoulder rolls forward, the left shoulder goes back. So a little bit of twist in your thoracic spine, and then open your throat. Breathe in and out through the nose smoothly. And curl your chin in towards your throat. Raise your seat up. Turn your left hand a quarter turn so the fingers point out to the side. Return to the pose. Lift your heart. Open your throat. Press the left knee forward. It's going to bring your right arm into a little bit of traction. Bring your chin in towards your throat. Lift up with your seat. Turn your left hand to point backwards. And opening. Now roll the left shoulder back so you are confident that you can put some body weight into your left arm. Press down through your left arm and shoulder, and then raise up and follow your right thumb up to the ceiling and then overhead. Let's keep the hips lifted and pretty well equal. And then follow your right thumb back up to the ceiling and lower down, following your thumb with your eyes. Touch your hips back to the 2 blocks and raise your left hand up to meet your right. And then fingertips and relax again. Relax your mind. You can close the eyes. You can hang out, basking in the echo of what's happening from the pose and the practice. Then I'm going to ask you to reach for 2 blankets, please, and have also your 2 blocks. Okay, so here we have the 2 blankets. The pose we're going to do now is one of the sort of powerhouse poses of yoga. If you take your blanket from the storage fold, you have it like this, and you then just fold it in half once, length to length, it looks like this. And do that for both of your blankets, please. And there's a rounded edge to your blankets, and there's a kind of sloppy edge. So this is my sloppy edge here, and the other side is my rounded edge. So that's where the blankets line up, and I'm going to place those so that the rounded edge is right here and it's firm. And then you have your 2 blocks, and they go under your feet. You'll see that in just a moment. So put the blocks where you can navigate them a little bit with your feet, but try to guess pretty well where they're going to be. Lie on your back. Reach for your strap. Where did I put my strap? Oh, Bindi has it. Hi, honey. Can I have that, please? Okay. All right, so when you lie down, I'd like you to have your shoulders at the edge of the blankets and your head goes past like this. Put your feet on your blocks, so they're going to be stable there. Reach for your yoga strap. Hold the strap in one hand. Do not put it in both hands just yet. You're going to raise the hips up to this kind of bridge pose, and then the strap goes under. Put your wrists in here, turn your palms to face each other, and tuck each shoulder under. So this is a supported and elevated bridge pose. One reason that we're elevating it with the 2 blankets is to give your neck more freedom and ease. It'll also give you a greater opportunity to work with the shoulders. And then as you have your feet elevated, your hips are a little higher than your heart. And lengthen the tailbone towards your knees. Then you could imagine from here a transition that would take you up to shoulder stand. I'm not saying that you're going to go there right now. I'm just saying imagine that this This is a building block for this power pose we call in yoga the shoulder stand. Bridge pose is like a preparatory pose for shoulder stand, and elevated bridge pose is another layer of preparation. The steps to get up to shoulder stand from here involve things that we're not going to do this morning because of our time frame. But I do want you to sense the responsibility of your shoulders for shoulder stand, not your neck. So there's no cervical vertebrae touching the blanket right now. Now, when you next exhale, start lowering your hips down. So you're going to end up kind of sitting on that yoga strap with your pelvis. Hopefully the buckle is not painful. Put the two blocks where they're not bothering your feet. Okay, scooch the elbows down to the floor, straighten your legs, and lift up with your chest and your heart. It's called fish pose. I can't straighten my legs because of where I'm in my room, but you get the idea. Sit on the strap so your hands are secure. Press the forearms down. And then slide your hair and your head along the floor. Release your fish pose. Release the strap. Scoot yourself slightly back on your blankets until your shoulders fall off the back side of the blanket. Probably your hips are on the front side of the blanket, and it's likely that the length of the blankets from top to bottom is at the top of the shoulder blades and down towards the top of your sacrum. Thoughtfully roll your chin towards your right shoulder, and then your chin towards your left shoulder. Back to center. So shoulder stand is a pose that I'm going to be breaking down for everyone to give you a better structure when we do our yoga therapy clinic next Monday, the 21st. So if you haven't checked that out yet on the schedule, please join me. We have yoga therapists signed up to assist, so you're going to get individualized attention. And that is worth the enrollment right there. You're going to get individualized attention for your practice from these yoga therapists from our training school. Okay, let's take these two blankets, fold them in half like a little bolster. So that session is called a yoga therapy clinic. Please put these blocks under your feet now, like this. It's a yoga therapy clinic, and it's from 4 to 5:15 p.m. on Monday, March 21st. You can join me there. We'll break down shoulder stand like I was saying. It's one of the power poses of yoga. It's a really important pose for meditation and for the endocrine system, the health of the whole body. Now we're going to come to the Shavasana. You have had an interesting movement through the body today, including with your eyes. So let's do palms face up and eyes closed. And put a kitten in your left elbow. Your body to relax into the floor. Mitahara means a wise use of our resources, really taking a look at that, including how we allow for rest. Welcome your mind and your body to rest, and let that keep permeating so it deeply soaks in. You are resting right now, integrating. Practice to penetrate your mind and your body, the dense body, the subtle body, the density of the mind, the subtlety of the mind. For how your inner body intelligence is taking care right now. Don't intrude on the process. Your mind to become even more relaxed, to return to a sense that you are comprised of earth and water, fire, air, and ether. You also have the blessing of consciousness. In the mind inward, gently wiggle your toes, your fingers. Bend your knees. Roll to your side. Rise up to your seat, which you can establish with your blankets as you would like. Hands in your lap and come into your meditation posture. Hara means an appropriate use of our resources, not taking more than we need, and not being less robust than we need for the purposes that are ours. In your own body, what resources are dedicated to meditation? And what mental activities do you have to say no to support your meditation? Your meditation to go deeply in. Raise your hands to your heart. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Close the recording here. Let me say that I personally practice shoulder stand every day in my practice. It's not contraindicated for any aspect of my health and well-being. And it's so helpful for meditation and for the mind and the brain to heal. So please consider joining us for the session on Monday, March 21st, 2022.